Welcome. In front of me I have the LENOVO Idea Tab Plus, and I'll be going over unboxing along with a quick look at the device and specifications, also the additions that we have right here in this package, as well as give you my general opinion about the build quality and just what the device has to offer for the price. So before I actually get started with the unboxing, I do want to quickly mention one thing. So I am in no way, shape, or form sponsored by any of the companies whatsoever. So whatever I'll be saying here is just strictly my personal opinion that is uninfluenced by literally any other person. And obviously, this allows me to just kind of say whatever the hell I want, which is pretty great. And I don't need to be afraid that, a company that doesn't like it won't give me new devices. Big whoop, I don't care. So anyway, let's just get straight into this. Let's get my way in. There we go. And still have these to cut through. There we go. Okay, so here we have the keyboard case. Okay, I'm gonna set it to the side and let's move on to the tablet. There we go. I'm gonna set it to the side for now too. And and here we have our pencil or pen, whatever you want to classify this as. Oh no, it's one of these. So it takes a single, what is that, AAA battery? Or is it, seems, wait, there is such a thing as quadruple A battery? Holy shit, I never knew that such a thing even exists. There we go. Wow, okay, that's it's interesting. I have learned something new. Now, here we have just paperwork, so it's better left alone. No one cares about this anyway. Here we have our cable, which appears to be Type-C to Type-C. Oh, okay, nothing here. Okay, let's just heat that to the ground and move to the device. Okay. So, first maybe start with the device, and then I'm gonna kind of just test fit the case and talk about that. But device has a 12.1 inch display with this one specifically has a matte finish. I don't know if there is a non-matte version, but that's the one that I have right here. And it's actually pretty decently finished matte display. It also boasts a 2560 by 1600 pixel resolution IPS LCD display, 90 Hz refresh rate, and a brightness of about 600 nits. It boasts 84.1% screen to body ratio and a pixel density of 249 pixels per inch. And yeah, that's basically the display. In terms of quality for it, it's nothing that is standing out like super apart from anything else. So I'm going to say a little bit underwhelming. Considering it's only 90 Hz refresh rate, the brightness is below 1000 nits, and it's not AMOLED display. Resolution on the other hand side is decent, Nothing, again, like insane here, but considering the display-wise, a lot of the different things have been just a little bit, tad bit posted down, to say the least. I guess we have at least that. I personally always love to have a display that is a bit more on the higher end quality. So I would either want to have something like an AMOLED, preferably. That would be my go-to option. And then, for instance, increase in refresh rates up to like 120, though 90 is still okay, I would say. I would love that to be AMOLED display or OLED display and 90. That would have been so much better. Anyway, so that's just generally, there we go. Just generally what I think. A personal preference. Obviously, if you don't mind the LCD right here, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I just feel that, you know, these nice inky blocks with infinite contrast ratios, more saturated colors, vibrant looking ones are just what I personally prefer and what I like to see on devices. LCD, on the other hand side, is just a little bit lackluster in terms of how it looks like, and just, you know, AMOLED is so much better. Anyway, I'm going to quickly finish up the setup right here so we can see the home screen as well before I move on to the back of the device. There we go. So here's our OS. A little bit choppy at the beginning, though nothing really like awful. Let's see. I know. Here we go. So I want to quickly check out the about device. There we go. And we have MediaTek Dimensity 6400 processor in here. 256 gigabytes of storage. Okay, we have apparently 12 gigs of RAM in here. That is actually surprising. Wow. I wanted to click on this because I thought that maybe they're doing like 6+6 or some bullshit like this, but this just seems like a flat 12 gigabytes of actual random access memory. Okay, that's not bad. And Android 15 running on here. Now, this device was released in September 2025, so it should be getting update to Android 16 definitely. And for some reason, GSM Arena says that it has up to 2 major Android upgrades, but I'm pretty sure it should have at least like 4, considering European Union kind of, I think, mandates it, if I remember correctly. So I'm not sure what's happening here, but in any case, let's move on to the back. So let's lock the device and take a look at the back, which is made out of, looks to be aluminum. Now, frame and back is just one big piece. As you can see, it just kind of wraps around. And it has this nice kind of rounded corners right here in terms of feel. So it does feel really nice to hold. I do want to give props for that one. Design-wise, feels super nice in hand, which I typically wouldn't think that about a Lenovo tablet. So that is something that I do want to just give them props for doing well here at this time, at least. So at the back we have a single camera setup, single camera, not really a setup, and that is a 13 megapixel wide sensor that will do 1080p 30 frames. And then at the front right here we have another selfie, or another, just maybe more like just a selfie, and that is an 8 megapixel that does also 1080p 30 frames. Nothing really special. Loudspeakers right here, I just want to kind of make fun of this. Supposed to support, there we go, Dolby Atmos. By God, you will never really be using these crappy little side speakers as Dolby Atmos. So this branding right here is as useful as tits on a mosquito. So it just, you know, don't even pay attention to that one. I just saw it in a spec sheet and I found it absolutely hilarious. Anyway, moving on to the internals of the device. It has a over 10,000 mAh battery, to be more precise, 10,200, that can be charged also pretty respectively at 45 watts. just to put that in perspective, this is a Samsung S25, the small one, right? It's a supposedly flagship device, though apparently Samsung doesn't make flagships by the same name this equally. It's definitely shittier than S25 Ultra. But anyway, this supports charging up to 25 watts. This device at a third of the price supports 45, which moronically is also the same charging speed as the S25 Ultra, which costs, what is it, $1,300? So that's great. That's great that a budget tablet can offer much faster charging speeds than a device that is supposedly a flagship phone that charges definitely a flagship price. But yet kind of forgets what the hell makes a flagship, which is pushing the boundaries. Samsung's only thing that has been pushing is your willingness to pay extra money for a piece of shit phone. So yeah. Anyway, let's get back to this one. So over 10,000 mAh battery with a distant charging speed, and there's two options of this device in terms of RAM and storage. So the one that I have right here is the higher end one, actually the highest end one, as it has the 256 with 12 gigabytes of RAM option. But there's also at the lowest end, 128 with 8 gigs and 256 with 8 gigs of RAM. Either one of these options, any one of these should be sufficient enough depending on what you are exactly looking for. If you need more storage, you can still go for the lowest end as, let me just get this little boy and find where the hell is, there we go, there's the tray. So you can go for the smallest one as this device supports this forgotten thing called an SD card. So you can smack in here an SD card and get more than 120 gigabytes of storage. So you can start loading up crap onto the SD card instead of the tablet itself. So you don't need to spend more money if you want this device for some reason. But you want to go for the, the lowest end, so it's the cheapest. You can do that. 8 gigabytes of RAM is already, I would say, sufficient enough. Might not be the best kind of experience, but especially if you're multitasking, but it should get you through pretty well. Definitely single application tasks should be usable, no problem. 128 gigabytes, again, usable for the most part, as long as you're not planning to load up some, for instance, games on here that would take a lot of storage. So, and anyway, if you need more than that, you can always smack in that SD card like I mentioned. Okay, lastly, like I already did mention though, processor powering this is the Dimensity 6400. Now, this isn't necessarily the fastest processor. It's closer to a low-end one, I would say. Though, as you can see, in terms of navigation, it's already doing a great job. It's not really lagging the device or anything like that. It's not the fastest, as you can clearly see certain things when you click on them to open them up. They do have a little bit of a moment where they just kind of freeze up and start thinking, what the hell am I supposed to do? Before they figure out, oh, I'm supposed to open. Okay, cool. So that's something to be expected from a device with such a processor, I would say. Okay, now this primarily goes over most of the specifications right here of the device. So let's move on to the case. So I just lock that, move it for now to the side, and take a look at this. So right here we have this bulge for some reason, and this is designed for obviously storing your pen. There we go, good enough. So as you can see, it does kind of interfere a little bit with the outside right at the side. It does have just a tidbit bit of that girth. On the other side, on the inside, we do have this place right here where the tablet will just kind of smack in, sit in there. And other than that, this is not detachable. It's permanently attached to it. I'm mentioning this because, what is it, Huawei's? They make very similar cases to these ones for their devices. But this portion is actually detachable from the keyboard, which is magnetically attached, and you can just kind of separate them, meaning that you don't need to remove the tablet itself from the back cover right here, like you would need to do with this device specifically if you don't want to hole around the actual keyboard in the case. Now, in terms of the keyboard itself, it's actually on a bigger side, as this is a 12-inch device. It does have a bit more room to breathe. So this is a normal keyboard, to say lightly, I guess, or loosely. So you can see the comparison in terms of size. It is very close to what could be considered a normal kind of keyboard layout. So this is probably what you would see typically on a laptop, honestly. Maybe a little bit smaller, as laptops usually are like 14 inches at the smallest, right? So they still use most of the space on the 14 inches size. But in any case, this I'm pretty sure already is at the size where typing should be pretty comfortable. Like, I don't feel too cramped on this keyboard. In terms of feel, it has decent travel, though probably not the best way to use it like so, as it does have a little bit too much of a flex, but this seems fine. Additionally, there are also spaces between them, so makes it easier to press. And this, honestly, very similar look and feel to ThinkPad laptops, also from Lenovo. So it seems like they just kind of yanked it, though the keyboard on those laptops feels better than this. So this is more like the shape of the buttons is there. The feel, not necessarily. And surprisingly enough, on top of that, we do have a lot of buttons that you wouldn't really expect on a keyboard that is designed for a tablet, and also something that is supposedly more compact. So we have normal arrow buttons that don't double as something. Shit, even my keyboard has doubling arrows, as my arrows are actually here. So right, left, down, and up. Here we have just normal buttons, though it does use the Apple kind of logic with the up and down being smooshed into two buttons in a space of one. We have Enter, which is a little bit on the smaller side, so it's not as big as you typically expect the Enter button to be. We also have a Delete button, which is very surprising, and with a quick switch button between two different apps, the two last apps that you've used. That's pretty neat. Quick lock button and some other options right here for just helping you navigate throughout the system and help you out with some other things like volume up, downs, muting, and so on. One thing that I find kind of funny here, though, so Enter is on the smaller side, but by God, that control right here is definitely controlling a decent bit of that keyboard layout right here. This is one of the biggest control buttons I have seen so far, especially on a keyboard of this size. To take this much space, you could have kind of just, I don't know, move these buttons a little bit further, make maybe the spacebar a little bit bigger. Would have worked for me a little bit better than having this huge of a control button. Like, what the hell am I going to be controlling with it? Anyway, last thing, let's just smack in our device in here. Okay, so obviously magnetically attaches. It's pretty well. It's kind of hard to move it out of here. You're thinking that, if you hold it like so, it's definitely not gonna just like slide. Come on, I'm trying to demonstrate. It's definitely not gonna do this and just fall out. So it's in there. Now, in terms of prepping it up, you just kind of do this kind of logic and just smack it like so, and automatically connects. So yeah. Now, one thing that I would have loved to see more. Oh, this actually is also magnetically attached to the base right here, and pretty strongly. Wow. One thing that I would have liked to see probably a little bit more is if the keyboard right here, and we have at the bottom, would have been shifted a little bit higher maybe, and then that space that is right here empty could have been obviously reversed and give you a trackpad. That would have been so much better. But obviously that would require a little bit more engineering, similar to like how the iPads from Apple are, where this kind of side is more of a kind of, spring-loaded one, so you can just keep it, for instance, in such a position like this. So this would be kind of spring-locked like this, not moving, but it would be hovering, allowing you to move that keyboard, right? So that would have been, in my opinion, a little bit nicer. That's one thing that I do actually like about Apple, these like folio cases that they have, giving you a little bit more kind of a laptop-like experience. Though, to be completely fair, you could, if I actually had this here, but of course I don't because someone yoinked it and didn't give it back. But if you have one of those dongles, Type-C ones that you plug in, you could just grab the wireless mouse, plug it in through that dongle, and just normally prep it up like we did before, and have mouse control. Android, out of the box, works with mice. Might not work the best. It has smoothing on it, so if you're using physical mouse like this one, and you have normal, just normally you want to scroll around, it's going to be a little bit annoying because it does have that smoothing, which is primarily designed for trackpads when the devices do have them. Trackpads obviously feel a little bit better with this kind of smoothing. Mice, on the other hand side, not so much, but in general, for the usability kind of on the go, if you have such a mouse, these are very inexpensive. Like I paid maybe $30 for this, so you can always get a mouse like this. It's wireless, powered by a AA battery, and it would work great here. Unfortunately, I don't have the dongle right here to plug it. You know what? I actually do have one. I have no clue for that. Of course, I dropped it. Let's grab it. Okay, let me just actually unplug the mouse. There we go. Oh wait, that was the correct way. So, fingers crossed it works. It does. So, just to kind of show you this, you can see the mouse. And, okay, that's interesting too. It's actually pretty nice that I plugged it in. So when you connect a mouse, it automatically allows you to switch to a desktop mode. So as you can see, it has these applications right here, so I can just double click it, launch it like so, and it allows me to just maybe lower the responsiveness of it. So you can see it works pretty damn good, and you just move it around. So this is obviously trying to imitate a normal desktop. Like I said, this actually, if you're planning to use this kind of mode, you would definitely benefit more from having more RAM. As you can see, open a bunch of different applications and have them all kind of running simultaneously, making it a little bit, heavier for the device to manage. But other than that, this is actually not that bad of an experience. And last thing that I did want to talk about is probably the price of this device, which it comes at, what was it, like $300? Let me just quickly unplug this and move it back to my computer so I can. Well, I guess I don't have image anymore in my for the viewfinder, what I'm seeing right here. Bear with me while I'm trying to just poke my screen. Please don't do me this dirty. Not right now. Come on. You know what? I'm gonna continue on and just hope that everything works. Hope is, what is it, the mother of definitely stupid like me. Anyway, so let's just unplug this before I break it, as it's not one of the best ones considering it sticks out too much. So for about the $300 that the device supposedly costs based on the GSM Arena, it's actually a pretty okay device. Personally, I probably would be looking for something with a different display, though I do have to say that the fact that this is a relatively decent sized at 12 inches tablet offers the desktop mode and the keyboard, it's honestly a pretty appealing thing for very specific niche. If you don't fall under that niche, that you need a keyboard like this, desktop modes, matte display, and so on, then obviously you might find definitely better devices that don't offer these specific features, but will offer you a more powerful device. But if, for instance, you're looking for something that is gonna, maybe you want to just take notes in school or whatever, and you don't really feel like holding an actual laptop, this with a 10,000 milliampere battery should last you a decent amount of time. And the fact that it gives you the ability to maybe, for instance, write normally, if I can find the pen, whatever the hell I placed it. Oh, right, it's here. So obviously you can use the pen to normally write on here, and that being a matte surface adds additional kind of resistance to it, so it might feel a little bit better. So that's one positive. And the fact that it comes with a keyboard, if you don't feel like writing, you can use that instead. Could be a great alternative to a laptop. And also relatively inexpensive. If you consider, for instance, a MacBook, I'm pointing that one out just because for studies where you don't get to plug in your device, I think MacBooks are one of the devices that last definitely the longest in terms of battery life. So if you consider not being able to plug it into charge, Windows laptops don't usually last this long unless you're going to look for like some specific ARM version of it. So instead of that, you could go for this. Gives you access to all the applications and some other features while lasting longer, and definitely being a bit, I would say, better, personally thinking, than something like a Chromebook, which Chromebook would be also a laptop, I think, in a similar manner to this. But I think Chromebooks are a little bit more expensive. So anyway, that's about it. Sums it up. So I hope you found this video helpful. And if you did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.